Great.
Welcome, everyone. And for those of you who tuned into Facebook Live earlier, we apologize for the tech issues. It's a curious time in this COVID-19 stay-at-home pandemic. So thank you for your graciousness and your patience. Welcome to what will be the first of many Facebook Live interviews. Fingers crossed. I'm sure it'll be fine working out these tech issues. These interviews are with Esalen faculty and inspiring change agents. And for anybody tuning in or watching this, do let us know. Feel free to leave some comments. Today we have the incomparable Lisa G. Littlebird, singer, composer, writer, voice coach, and the founder of Littlebird Song Leader Flight School, an intrepid online training program for emerging song leaders, as well as the founder and director of the 140 Wholehearted Chorus on the Central Coast of California, which is an amazing, amazing chorus. Lisa has offered community singing platforms and gatherings at Esalen and beyond. And she's reclaiming song as a vital technology of human connection. And I love that phrase. Lisa's mission is sublime, and it's to restore community singing to our daily lives in service to a vision of a thriving and harmonious planet, as your website reads. My name is Greg Archer. Welcome, everybody. And Lisa, welcome. How are you today?
I'm really well. Thank you. I'm honored to be invited to join you here.
It's good to see you. So how, maybe we can just kind of sink in, take a deep breath. Some, tech issues are always fun, aren't they? They give you a chance to...
We're all up-leveling our game at lots of levels right now.
Right? It gives you an opportunity to really, kind of practice the things that we've learned over the years. So
yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. So how are you doing during this unique time?
I was on the phone the other day with my dear friend and colleague, Barbara McAfee, who's also part of the faculty of our Esalen weekend, Singing on the Edge each year. And she's a great song leader from Minneapolis. And she asked me the same question. And I said, shamelessly great. She said, me too. I won't tell anybody. I find that I've been very fortunate. I live in exceptionally privileged life. I recognize not everybody is having the same circumstances that I enjoy. And internally, though, I feel at peace and I feel at rest. And this is a deeper opportunity to practice many of the core values that I've been endeavoring to hold for many years. And so far, so good over here.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Well, and thank you for all you have been giving the community over the years, for many decades now. It's quite lovely to see the evolution of all of it and what you offer. Many of us are going within right now. What do you feel is the lesson that we are being given?
I feel disinclined to be prescriptive in an answer by offering something that's true for everybody, because I believe that we're each getting exactly what we need. And I think that's true at all times. We're just having a uniquely shared global experience right now of opportunity to feel squeezed in ways that we aren't normally. And I think each of us experiences those squeezes differently, and whatever is evoked for us is our material to work with. And so there are themes that I'm seeing out there for sure. What is it to sit still? What is it, maybe some deep relationship work for people who are suddenly finding themselves quarantined with others and no means of escape? What is it to deepen into a sense of connection and ease for those of us who are quarantining alone? And for all of us, I think if there's a major thematic one, it's what is it to truly inhabit not knowing? What is it to live inside the question mark of life? That's always true, but it's especially poignant right now. And it can be anxiety provoking.
Yes, it can. And I guess there is a discernment to make between being concerned and noticing when we are in an anxiety, and how to really kind of swim through that, right? Um,
Absolutely. The words I would use are, it's the difference between evaluation and judgment. To me, evaluation is totally appropriate. It's looking at the facts and then making assessments and using discernment to make healthy choices. Whereas judgment is fighting against what is.
hmm. Judgment is fighting against what is. I love how you put that. Yeah, that really resonates. That really resonates. How are you staying connected with your extended community during this time? Because you often go out into community and you have this
Yeah,
beautiful singing chorus,
yeah.
and which we'll get to in a moment about the joys of coming together like that and what that brings. But what are some ways you are staying connected and grounded and fluid during this time?
Yeah, well, we're completely reconstructing what it means to be a community. And it's been very interesting and very dynamic. You know, it's a new day every day with new information each day, and quite impossible to plan inside. And so, what I've been taking root in is my fidelity to my community. That 4 weeks before this crisis hit our area of California, where suddenly we very rapidly went into this shelter in place order. We had been meeting and singing together and kicking off our new season for the spring. And now all of the things that we had planned, of course, are immediately not relevant in terms of the core of what we're up to, getting together to sing together and to work on songs toward a goal of a concert at the end of May. And so now we are instead really shifting the focus of our energies into what is it to deeply cultivate community with the tools that we have in this moment in time, and with the primary values that we hold as a community, which is using songs to metabolize our emotions. And I find that there's never been a more relevant time to do that, to connect and to get together with the means that we have, which is Zoom right now for most all of us, and to share the songs and to shift our focus from learning songs in order to perform in a concert and into share songs from the heart to connect in the moment with the means that we have, and let go of the goal orientation, and to also really play with what it is to care about each other and find other ways to deepen community. So we've been supplementing our song offerings online with other online offerings, such as emotional tools for healthy communication within communities. We've been bringing in guest teachers, and suddenly geography is irrelevant. And so we can bring in anybody we want to come and offer wisdom and thought leadership in different ways of healthy community building. And so that's one. We're doing share circles, we're doing peer groups. We are assigning people into small groups for weekly check-ins, so that everybody has an advocate and we know where the sharp points are hitting our community, and we can offer our generosity and support.
That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, it sounds very generative, that there's a lot of good energy there. It's really beautiful.
And so humbled by it. You know, we put a survey out to the choir of let us know right now if you are really stressed or really challenged. My apologies.
Hey, we love
Let
tech.
us know if you are really stressed or challenged at this time, or let us know if you're feeling capacious and interested in supporting others. And 90% of the chorus responded, I'm interested in helping. And I just found that really so buoying, and really just touched by that outpouring of generosity, that despite the challenge we're all feeling, most people were up for supporting others.
That's beautiful. Well, you've been at the helm of many community singing events for many, many years now, and obviously something happens when people gather together in a setting like that, where there's creativity and expression. So I'd love for you to touch a little bit on what becomes possible when we gather together like that in groups, and even now virtually, when we gather in groups to do something like song or creative arts and things like that.
Yeah, we're learning a lot right now. I mean, just you asking the question brings up some grief. I think we're all feeling that, and it's perfectly natural, because the gifts of coming together and being in a room and singing is incomparable and not possible at this time, and for an indefinite period of time is adding to the kind of angst of the grief. And so to me, you know, that offers a very particular kind of balm to the spirit that I haven't found in any other setting. And that's why I do it. That for me, one of the primary aims of this lifetime for me is to open my heart to others. And that's a simple sounding thing that becomes immediately daunting and very complicated as soon as you come into intimate partnership, for instance, or somebody in your community does something you really don't like, or somebody else comes to you and harbors a judgment against you. And, you know, so these are all things that are kind of murky and challenging and have to get chewed on in our real life world. And for me, singing together is kind of a hack, where we get to bypass all the messy parts and go right to being together with an open heart. That all of that other stuff, it doesn't make that less worthwhile. That investigation is important and it also needs to be addressed. But ultimately, all that stuff is for the purpose of being here now with another person with your heart open. And there's something about creating a shared experience through singing together that offers that immediately. And to do so with the words that we choose, which tend to be uplifting and heart opening in nature, it allows us to kind of relax and deepen into having that experience in our own kind of selves instead of constantly seeking for it. It's just there. And that is, irreplaceable. But what I've found on the Zoom calls is when we don't compare it to that, because it's sorely less than that. Mm-hmm. We can't sing together without lag time. So I have to mute everybody. And they're ultimately having the experience of a duet of, singing with their own voice matching mine as I come through the screen. We get to focus on different things. And for me, it's an opportunity to deepen into the gifts of the songs themselves. That lots of our lives, most of our lives, we're not together. And yet these songs can be with us at all moments. We can walk alone in the woods and pull a song out of our pocket and use it as kind of medicine to work through what we're needing to work through for ourselves. And so I'm introducing more of those types of songs that we can really arm our people with as emotional shields and comforts through this unique time.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying, and what you're saying resonates quite deeply for me. And it sounds beautiful. It sounds very beautiful. Wow, and it opens up such a rich possibility to kind of go in some really cool places now. So I'm curious, and you may have touched upon this in some of your other responses, but what are some ways this particular path you've taken have helped you expand your own human potential? And are you surprised at where the path took you?
Every day, I'm surprised. Yeah, I really did it for the most selfish reasons. I was struggling a lot in my regular emotional realms and found that singing was the discipline practice. And I say discipline because I often didn't and still don't feel like doing it. And yet 100% of the time after doing it felt better. And there's very few things that I could say that about in my life. And, you know, movement or dance or body stuff is probably the other. And those two feel like the most primal ancient ways of kind of moving and expressing in the world. Every child in the world sings and dances, and every culture through time immemorial has sung and danced. And so I just said, well, I will show up to do it if I'm in charge. So I organized a weekly circle many years ago in Big Sur and just learned trial by fire by showing up with songs that I loved, and found over and over this humbling of how many people were also hungry for this and were willing to show up. And it certainly wouldn't have happened without them. I would have just been the crazy singing person in the town. But it was co-created actively by others who really committed to this community and showed up over and over again. And so that's really how this came to be. And it's still doing that for me. It's providing a continuity and a structure within for me to grow. And it's a discipline, it's a commitment, it's a foundational underpinning that I know I will be grateful that I've done for the rest of my life. And so I keep doing it.
Mm. So it's curious, are there still moments where it doesn't feel like, where you feel resistance to actually dive in and do it? Sort of like a writer who might have like resistance to sit down in front of a page. Do you have resistance sometimes going before, engaging?
Certainly, I'm human, but it happens a whole lot less than it used to.
Yeah.
And it's very fast and easy for me to move through when it does, because it's quite easy now for me to come back to the remembering that this is my deepest heart's choice to keep doing. And so it's just that. It's a matter of returning again and again. And that's, I think, exactly the benefit of a discipline, is it becomes easier to do.
Mm. So I love asking creative people this question, especially those who perform. What happens for you in your body, in your essence, when you are fully expressing yourself in song? What's that feeling like?
Well, it's an interesting question, because doing that by myself is one thing, and doing that with others is another. And when I'm by myself and I find that place, I think we can all identify with a moment in our life where we felt fully enlivened and fully on track with what life is asking of us. And it just feels deeply good in just the deepest way. And that's the only way that I can describe it. And with others, for me, it's really not about the self-expression. It's about, well, of course that's there, because especially some women in particular, this is a generalization, have been so deeply conditioned, and men too, of course, but I see it more in women, to dim their personal expression, that it's a practice to keep coming forward with the voice and to join others. But to me, the gift of coming together is attunement. And so that becomes a play of how am I contributing to the whole? And it's not about me, it's about us. And so that is a different kind of high, equally, deeply good and valid.
Yeah. The us of it all, right? We. I know you have a new album that is right around the corner coming out. So can you talk a little bit about that and what people can expect from that?
Certainly, it's out. It came out this past weekend, and it's called Night Sun. And you can find it on my website. It's thebirdsings.com/night song, all one word. And it's it's been a journey, a long time coming. 5 years it took me to pull this album together.
Wow.
And it's really representative of my education that I got, a very deep education over 5 years. And it feels to me like an offering during this time, which feels like the perfect time to be offering it, of nervous system relaxation. And to me, that is a great gift right now, that if we can all learn to take our nervous systems down a couple notches, that fear can't get as much of a foothold in our world, and everything can benefit from that. So that's the intention behind this offering. And it's my best attempt from where I am now at creating some beauty, and I hope you and others enjoy.
Thank you. Congratulations for
Thank
the release. That's wonderful. And yeah, 5 years is a significant part of time. So congratulations on that journey.
Thank you.
In writing like something like a book, it's very interesting to practice patience with something like that, and that's something that I have had to learn over and over, and the dedication to keep showing up for the creative work, right? To allow it to come through. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, a few more questions for you, Lisa. I'm curious, what brings you a sense of wonder and awe?
Mm-hmm. I love that question.
Yeah, it's a good. Well, especially when we're at Esalen, it's easy to just look anywhere, and then it's
totally
just there, right?
Totally. Yeah, and there's so many circumstances that are conducive to that. A beautiful sunset, or the remarkable growth of a beloved child, or there's so many things that can inspire that spontaneously in our lives. But for me, I think at the deepest level, it's available all the time if I look for it. When I just look around at everything that I see as a miraculous expression of life. And I can choose to step into that feeling when I really go there, when I really take it in. And I could just look at a pillow, something so mundane, and just go into what had to happen for this pillow to exist. It's, I could trace back, textile makers from the ancients that figured out how to weave threads together from plants. And now, my God, look at what we can do, and how cooperative the world is in order to create goods that we can now enjoy. And how many people in history never had a pillow. And, just thought processes like that are really what I attempt to cultivate, to bring that quality of wonder and awe into my life.
I love it. In connecting with you and just being with you, your presence is very calming and very grounding, and it's just very refreshing. So thank you for bringing that in to what we're doing here. All right, one last question for you. What's the most interesting thing you've been learning about yourself lately?
Mm-hmm. Well, interesting to me or to you?
Most likely to you, probably, I would imagine.
I would say, gosh, I'm learning so much all the time. And interesting is a challenging qualifier, but for me, kind of the most relevant and immediate thing that comes to mind is I'm learning how much I can trust myself. That in this time of uncertainty, no matter what happens, I will be there. And I've handled everything that life has presented up until this moment, and I will continue to do so. And when I rest in that, it really is the deepest antidote that I've found to fear. It doesn't it doesn't prohibit planning, but it prohibits neurotic planning. And it allows me, just the freedom of knowing that I'm willing to face what life presents. I'm willing to feel things that are painful, and it will change. And that feels really good. That feels important.
Mm. Yeah, I like that distinction between neurotic planning and planning. and
Yeah, it's
and
big.
yeah, very big. And the calm and the trust. It's beautiful to hear you speak that and share that. So thank you. Um, Lisa, thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you all those folks who are tuning in. Stay safe and well wherever you are and however you are. And we'll determine what the tech things were this beautiful Thursday. There was another issue earlier, so I think it could be a Zoom thing. It doesn't matter. We had a beautiful time, and it's great to connect with you. For those of you who want to learn more about Esalen, go to esalen.org/learn. All sorts of things on our website, especially many articles and blogs and podcasts on how to stay connected during this time when we are all moving through this COVID-19 pandemic together. So Lisa, thank you so much and congratulations on everything, and thank you for what you do.
You're so welcome. And I have one last tool to throw in your toolbox that I'll offer
Great.
to anybody free. So I have a vast online library of songs that's free on my website, The Bird Sings. If you go to Songs, Online Song Library, and there's a lot of categories of different types of songs in that section of my site. And I created a new one this week called Pandemic Playlist. So if you click on that, it's 21 songs that I find particularly useful as tools, as I mentioned, to use as companions during this time. And I hope that you and others will find benefits.
That's lovely. Thank you for doing that. That's great.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, Lisa, you be well, stay safe and well. And thank you again for your time and all you do.
Total pleasure. Yeah, thanks, Greg.
Okay.
Have a good day.